What's up, everyone? This is a pop-up podcast of the Left Coast Leafs podcast. This is Trevor. Sean is traveling, so unavailable. So in light of some Twitter traffic today about Jeremy Bracco, I decided why not call our Marlies correspondent Talon Jenkins that we had on earlier in the year. So we have Talon on the phone right now. How's it going?
It's pretty good, Trevor. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good. Yeah, so we did have some Bracco news today. Indirect news, just kind of a little strange quote from Keefe, or maybe a paraphrased quote from Keefe about wingers that maybe didn't want to switch sides, that were left behind, and there's always been this sort of debate on Twitter about why isn't Bracco up. And so, I mean, you must have seen him play dozens of times.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
go ahead.
The thing about Bracco, it's interesting too, and everybody's been saying it for years, and they're right. He's a top six player wherever he does play, right? But with the Leafs depth, what they have up front, there's just not really a spot for him to kind of fit in. I think that might contribute primarily to why he's been with the Marlies for so long. But in regards to Keith's comments today, if they were about him, that's pretty direct. But it's kind of hard to tell, really. Obviously, he's not going to say exactly who those were about. But
it is.
You know, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, let's face it, he's like fourth or fifth on the organizational depth chart on the right side. Okay, so that in itself may not even be a reflection on his play, just bad luck.
Yeah, that's definitely fair to say. You look at guys like Kapanen, obviously Marner, even Nylander's supposed to be a right winger as well, right? So kind of got the shit out of the stick on that one for sure.
And so as a guy who's watched him play, like I've hypothesized myself that, like, for as liberal as they have been bringing guys up, even this year, and even Babcock, they did bring guys up, but he just keeps getting overlooked. And he also never gets traded. So, like, teams aren't clamoring to maybe want him as part of a deal. And so in your watching him, is there anything that you see watching him that tells you that he's not an NHL player, or may never be?
You know, as far as an NHL level player goes, I think he has all the tools. He has the skill set. What stands out to me about him, obviously you can talk about a player in his size. I believe he stands at 5'11", but it's been proved at the NHL that you can be a smaller player and still have success. Look at a guy like Mitch Marner. 5'11", 6 foot himself. The difference between the two, they're both expert playmakers. Like, Bracco's playmaking sense is amazing. You can see that at any level. Marley's level, his junior career, playing with Team USA at the World Juniors. The difference is he's not as much of a play driver. Look at guys like Marner. They can control the puck from from their own end to the neutral zone to the actual offensive zone. Bracco's more seems to be a bit offensive minded. With that being said, you put that guy in a power play unit. And it's evident with the Marlies too. Watching him dish to Korshkov every game has been that's been a treat for everybody that's got to watch it. So he has the skills there, but I think he's lacking on the overall 200-foot player of the game.
Yeah, like as an NHL team with like legit NHL players who, I mean, let's face it, after even 4 to 5 years of being together as a unit, still suffer playing team defense. And picking up individual assignments, would he be even more of a liability in that regard? And is that why maybe he's kept down, just because you can't have him on the ice in those other situations?
I think that contributes to 100%. You take a look at the guy; he's willing to go into the corners, but he gets beat off the puck. Size is a major factor. Like I said, he's not the biggest guy, and he's not the heaviest guy, too. You can have shorter players. Timashov is a good example, but he's a pretty solid kind of build, right? It's just hard to push off the puck. Bracco, it seems like he does lose a lot of those puck battles in the corner, and he has to rely on a lot of his raw, skills and talents to actually win those battles, which, you might get away with at the AHL level. At the NHL level, at a top kind of line team, I don't know if that's going to happen going against top guys night in, night out.
Right. Sometimes there's this philosophy where, I mean, even if you're bringing a young guy up, he necessarily isn't a fourth liner at the NHL level. If you put him there, he'll actually less than thrive, and he has to almost be put into a position to succeed in a top 9 role with other good players, and has no business being a top 4 player at that level at the NHL, or a bottom 3 player at that level.
Yeah.
You know, is he one of those guys? Because I saw something today. There's actually been a little bit of Edmonton Oiler traffic on Twitter, because I saw that they're giving this prospect Tyler Benson his first crack at the NHL tonight, a former Vancouver Giant player, and they're inserting him on the 4th line, but he's an offensive player. And so there's a bit of a war going on amongst Oiler Twitter that even Ray Ferraro chimed in on eventually, that, yeah, I mean, it's okay to put, nobody's above starting on the 4th line. But I'm wondering if a guy like Bracco just would not succeed on the 4th line at the NHL level and would need to play with
It's
players.
like you said, you got to put these guys in a situation to succeed, right?
Yeah.
He'll do nothing for you on the 4th line, in my opinion, just off what I've seen the past couple of years of watching him. But if you were to plug him in, maybe a top 9 kind of scenario, even if you look at the team with the Leafs, their 3rd line, they're used not as much as your traditional 3rd line, right? There's some talent on that. Right now they have Kapanen, Johnson, I think they got Spezza in between the middle. Like, that's a good offensive line. If you were to throw any kind of offensive talented player, such as Bracco, on a line like that, they're going to put up 30, 40 points a season, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The problem is, we're so depth with the Leafs, that's not going to happen.
Right.
Now, it's interesting that you brought up a team like Edmonton, because if I was Edmonton, I'd be clawing at Jeremy Bracco as much as I could, trying to pry him from the Leafs' hands.
Okay. Yeah.
They're clearly suffering from winger depth, you know, and why not? That would be a perfect fit. You're able to throw him on a power play unit with McDavid, with Draisaitl, Darnell Nurse on the back end. You know, that's a steal right there.
Yeah. So I wonder if Dubas and company are not getting any traffic on him, or they're just not willing to give up on him yet, and saying like, hey, we can afford to overcook a guy as long as we have our team control.
I get that fully, and that could definitely be it. What I see happening myself, honestly, is potential for replacement player. You look at all the rumblings about having to trade one of Johnson or Kapanen to try and get like a backup the D-man a little bit. I think Bracco, if that's the case, he could easily step up and take those 3rd line minutes from one of those 2 guys.
Yes. Well, that's not a bad point at all, actually, because, I mean, if we are going to go and get a legit top 4 guy, somebody's going to have to go off of our top 9. So
yeah. But which personally, if there's going to be a trade happening, Trevor, I got to be honest with you, I either see one of Bracco or one of Johnson being in the mix, but I doubt that the Leafs would be willing to deal with them both. He's able to replace each other essentially.
Right. Yeah, and I think I think maybe some of the short-term blueprint may have changed with the Mikheyev injury too.
Yeah.
Because I think he was trending upwards to being such a strong, skilled player on this team. And
that was awful to see, too, especially, like you said, he was going nowhere but up. The way he was playing, he was getting along with the guys, too, on and off the ice. Like, that was just sad to see what happened.
Yeah, so that's just one less skilled guy that maybe you can dangle out there as trade bait. You know.
Now, something that I think a lot of people kind of forget about, too, that we have cooking in the minors here, is Nick Patan. The guy's played 22 games, and he's put up 30 points in the past 22 games without any tutelage or coaching from Sheldon Keefe on a Marlies team that has been struggling the last half of the season. So, like, I don't know how he cleared waivers, to be honest with you. Like, there's another decent winger. He has center experience as well. I don't know why teams aren't calling for both of those guys, to be honest with you, but there's potential for a trade there as well.
Talk about
or at least a call-up.
Fell off the map.
Exactly, right? Like, I don't, he's had bad luck, though. Obviously, I know Babcock wasn't too fond of him. I don't know if it's to do with his size, or I think there's rumors around that there's an attitude issue between the two of them. But, I mean, I think he got sent down like a week before Babcock got fired and still hasn't got the call back up. But like I said, he's arguably been the best Marlies player ever since he got sent down.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he was actually putting up well over a point a game.
Yeah, his numbers are fantastic, and he stands out. He's too good to be playing in that league. And even, like I said, the Marlies they've kind of struggled a bit considering they've lost a lot of their players to the Leafs, right? So the fact that he can put up those numbers and drive the play that he does on kind of a struggling team goes a long way for sure.
So if let's say we were working on a not a number one left-hand or right-hand D-man off of another team, but just somebody who would adequately fit in our top 4. and you were another team asking for a throw-in, a sweetener for the deal, and who would you take, Patan or Bracco?
Now, I would have to go for Bracco, just for the upside and the offensive skill. Obviously, Patan, like I said, has put up the solid numbers, but Bracco just hasn't had the NHL experience yet. He hasn't had a shot, so you don't really know what you're getting. It's worth the gamble. Like, if you're getting a guy like Johnson already, I think you want to see what Bracco can do as well. Yeah. Now, like I said, I doubt that the Leafs would be willing to part for both, just as far as the replacement status goes. But if I'm the other team, that's what I'm trying to draw for. And one thing that strikes me the most, and I know Oilers fans are probably going to blow up my Twitter if I say this, but I would love if I'm Cal Dewis. I'm pushing for Adam Larson.
Yeah, I think he's havable, if that's a word.
Havable? That works. Acquirable.
Like I think he can be had, right?
Yeah, and for sure. And the price tag's right. I think it's like a $4.3 million cap hit for the next 2 years or so. You send Johnson that way and a kicker. Yeah. Hell, you could even throw SDA in that. The guy's top 10 in points in the OHL. Yeah. Or not points per game, rather. Sorry. But, that's kind of something that people are overlooking as well. The Leafs have some bait that we can dangle out there to other teams that might intrigue them, right?
We do, yeah. And with Larson, we do have that. I mean, we have, as we touched on the last podcast, we do have that LTIR money now that is likely going to come off Cody Ceci not returning this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
So, you never want to talk down on a guy for an injury, but I mean that kind of worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it did actually. It wasn't too bad. So yeah, well that's interesting stuff, and hopefully some people get some clarity off of that. So, and I just wanted to quickly touch on one more thing here. The Leafs put Michael Hutchison on waivers today, and it's interesting as to whether he'll clear or not. I mean, he doesn't cost anybody anything. And
that's it. And you look at a team like, I don't know, there's teams that kind of need some backup goaltending depth. Look at Florida. I know their backup kind of went down a couple of weeks ago. I've heard some words out of New York that they're having some injury troubles. Although they got the depth, they should be fine. But if they are looking to move a Gorgie out, they're going to need somebody, right? So it's
But let's say he does clear.
I don't expect him to get picked up, to be honest with you. No. But
so how does that? If he clears, is he the organization's third goalie? Or does he drop into a backup role in the Marlies? Like, what's happening down there?
You know what? I'm concerned if he does clear, because right now it's Kaskasuo's net, straight up. And he's been dominant for them all year. Obviously, playoffs last year. We talked about him last time I was on this show.
That's right. That's why we had him on last time.
I would speak pretty highly of him, even though he didn't have the best go with the Leafs. Marlies is struggling as a bit. What worries me the most, though, is what happens to Joseph Woll if Hutchinson gets sent down.
Yes.
He's a young guy. You want to give him minutes. You want him to have a familiar season playing with the same team. You don't want him going up and down between the Growlers and the Marlies. So it kind of puts everybody in a shitty predicament. Do you ride three goalies at the AHL level? That's tough to do in practice. Who's going to go in the net?
Yeah. So I was wondering about that too. Has Wall done any time with the Growlers this year? Or has he been straight Marlies?
No, he's been with the Marlies for the entire season so far. And I think that's probably best for his development too. He's not like, it's not like he's an 18, 19-year-old goalie. I believe he's 21 years old, right? So he's got to start kind of developing, and that's hard to do when you're moving up and down between different teams.
Yeah. So I think we'll cut it off there. I did have one other question for you. I follow you on Instagram. And you seem to spend a lot of time in the kitchen, and you put a lot of effort in there. So what's for dinner tonight on a Leaf game night?
You know what? Tonight I am very lucky. As I look and turn around right now, my lovely girlfriend is making me some homemade dumplings. Oh. So I think we're going to have some dumplings and a nice little soup appetizer. Just have some little finger food for the game tonight.
Are we going to get a preview on an Instagram story?
Yeah, I'm sure I could throw something up. Maybe I'll even tweet it out to anybody that's following on Twitter as well. But I'm sure we can do that.
So follow Talon Jenkins on Instagram. It's like watching the Food Network. And
it's a lot cheaper than eating out, that's for sure.
100% is, man. Yeah, no, it's time well spent too.
Oh, for sure.
So we'll let you off on that. Now, Sean and I did some predictions for this weekend. Points out of 6 games this weekend. Dallas in a few minutes here. Ottawa, Buffalo back to back. Is it 6 out of 6 for you?
You know what? We need those Ottawa Buffalo points. Those are kind of givens. Dallas might be a bit of a toughie. I'm gonna try and take the under here, and I'm gonna go 4 out of 6.
4 out of 6. Okay. Yeah, I think we're. I'm not even gonna think about losing any points on the weekend, but we may get one tonight, maybe 2. So I'm gonna go for 5.
All right, fair enough.
All right. Well, thanks for doing this, Talon. I think it's very useful information for our listeners, because Sean and I can't speak that deeply about the Marlies. So I really always appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, like always, man. It's my pleasure, and always glad to help, and keep the Left Coast Leafs community running strong here.
Totally, for sure. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
All right, go Leafs, go.